Well, it's tight, but I got everything under the hood. Now it's time to put this thing up in the air and do some stuff underneath it. Not sure what all that is yet, but I'll figure that out. I got a big pile of parts on the floor to take care of. So I got the Bumpsteer Kit installed. I got to trim these guys down a little bit. Actually raise the rack a little bit. And I'll go put it on the alignment rack and see where my bump steer's at. I may have to actually raise these to get my bump steer where I want it to be, but we'll see. We'll figure that out once we get it on the alignment rack. Right now I'm draining the engine oil to remove the subframe, to remove the oil pan, to install a oil pickup brace on the sump. And then we'll put the oil pan back together, fresh oil change. And then I'm removing the Borla muffler for a vibrant resonator to make it even louder. So you'll definitely know when Ben's coming around the corner. And then I have a couple little things yet to do, a couple headlight bulbs and clutch master cylinder. And then we got to figure out if we can resolve his clutch issue. Everything measured out the way it needed to measure out when I installed it, but he seems to feel that when it's under load, his shifting isn't fast enough, so we got to figure out if there's a drag on the clutch. So that's next.
How's it look?
It looks fine.
Good.
It's not psychedelic. So he hasn't over revved the engine yet.
Yeah. This is the point where the doctor knows the truth.
Yes, this is where I know whether you spun it too fast or not.
I've been behaving, I promise.
When the oil comes out looking like a psychedelic party, it's not good. Anybody want to sponsor some lights for our shop so we can make our videos easier for you to see? Oh. Right in the face. What is that, water? I'm gonna guess I'm not gonna be able to get this out of here without dropping the subframe down. I could be wrong. If I pull, problem is I have to get down under the, yeah, it's gonna have to come down. Oh well, only like 6 bolts. Except it is attached to the engine. I probably don't want to just pull those 6 bolts out like Austin and have it fall on my head. So since our transmission's in there, we'll use the front harmonic balancer and a support, and we'll hold it up in there.
What'd you do?
Making fun of you.
Fun of me?
Making fun of you.
What'd I do? I didn't do anything on this car.
I know, no, I'm making fun of you because
I didn't do anything.
I'm making fun of you because I'm not just removing all the bolts and letting it fall on my head.
Oh, yeah, no. Not a good idea. Make sure you keep at least 2 bolts in. Yeah. Maybe one of my smartest moments. I'm still here though.
You survived. Just like
my absolute dumb luck.
Just like the Subaru commercials.
Yeah.
You lived.
Yeah. By dumb luck. Said he had one on the dolly, which is why I had to grab.
This is gonna land on my head.
Good news is it'll be on video.
Yeah. Speaking of things melting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely not.
I'd say we got a little heat management we need to deal with.
Good. Put that on the list.
Then grab your gloves. Holy cow, I think I got it in the hole. I did. That would have been so much easier to do when I had the engine on an engine stand with the front cover off. So I added this little guy here that goes on, and you really can't see it. It was not easy to get in there, but I got it with the front cover on. It's just a support to help make sure the oil sump pickup doesn't lose its grip. That gasket is completely reusable, and it's stuck onto the engine nice and good, so I'm going to wipe it off and reuse it. It is one of the nice things about these LS motors, if you assemble them correctly, you can reuse most of these gaskets until they get so many heat cycles in them. And once that happens, it's time to replace them because they're probably leaking anyway, which is why you're taking them apart. Man, I feel like I just had this thing apart. So alignment on this is critical. So I'm actually going to loosely bolt my oil pan to the transmission just to get it all the way back, and then I'll torque all my oil pan bolts, and I'll loosen these and retorque those last. But it makes sure my oil pan is all the way back and where it needs to be so that it supports the additional. It actually is part of the structure of the engine and transmission assembly. So if they're installed incorrectly, you run risk of cracking a bell housing or an oil pan, or God forbid a ear on the back of the block. Although I've never seen that, but it's a possibility, I suppose. We're a unique species that can pretty much destroy anything when we put our minds to it. Alright, so I used a jack stand to hold my engine up in the car, and then I used another jack stand to raise my subframe up. I tightened my subframe bolts down. The subframe is pinned on both sides, so it should go back in pretty much in the same spot. And then I'll put my motor mount bolts back in, put my rack back in, my front sway bar back in. And then this step of the process is done. I'll put my new oil filter on, tighten my drain plug, put oil in it. Then I think I'll move on to the muffler replacement. He wants his Borla muffler changed out for a vibrant resonator because he doesn't think the car's loud enough. So that's our next step. Yay. Alright, let's see if I got enough of a cut with the pipe cutter. Probably not. Probably not. Couldn't be that lucky. Oh. Alright. This one's straight through too. That is much smaller That is a much smaller muffler. That needs a little resize. And you gotta work. Yeah, we'll be able to make that work. This is gonna be fun to get back up in there. Hit me right. Oh, got it. All right. So we are gonna make some modifications to our slave cylinder and put a better master cylinder in. So the trans must come back out. Pull that guy out, pull that guy out, put in a remote bleeder, put in a hard line to eliminate the quick connect. That shouldn't be too hard to do. Looks like I got to knock the roll pin out. So pull that guy off. Now we're going to install some new bits from Sikky. So we got a remote bleeder kit and what looks like to be a remote bleeder kit adapter and a sticker. Got a Sikky sticker. I'll slap it on the back bumper, make it go faster. This guy goes in there. Probably want to pull the old seal out. That probably wouldn't have ended well. So remember to take your seal out when you do this. This guy goes in there. You got to drive the roll pin back on, which I'm not going to be able to do here. Probably, maybe. Not with only two hands. This is where I smash my thumb with a hammer. Let's try that again. You know what, we're gonna drive this all the way out. And that'll give us an easier piece to work with. Get in there. You are not cooperating. I'm going to need a lot more force than that. Put the adapter in the vise so that I can push down on it. Oh, why do I feel like this is going to bite me in the behind? It rotates. I think it'll be alright. I think it's nice and tight to keep the seal compressed. It rotates, so should be good. I've run into this problem before. Better cross-threaded than no-threaded. Bam! Like emerald. Bam!
Like who?
Like who? I didn't even say that.
Sorry, I'm not old.
You're too old. You're too young for that one. It's okay. Alright. Well, I think I got this thing all back together. I've got oil in it, new filler. Oil pump pickup support is installed. Oil pan's back on. I put one clutch shim, a 30-second shim behind the slave cylinder to push it forward to give us a little better pedal feel. We'll see how that feels. New clutch master cylinder. That was a pain in the rumsky to put in, by the way. Reinstalled the transmission, reinstalled all the interior components, modified the exhaust. Bumpsteer kit is installed, so I'm going to fire this thing up, check it for leaks, and hopefully then I'll drive it onto the alignment rack and reset the alignment on this because I need to set the Bumpsteer kit up. So, making progress. Time to see if this thing will fire up or catch on fire. I'm still waiting on some bolts to lock down these coils, but I'm going to go ahead and check it for leaks, and then we'll fire it up and see what she sounds like. I don't see any fuel leaks. Let's crank her over. What's going on?
Back to Volkswagen.
Did you bring me some bolts?
Freshly imported from halfway across the city.
I'm sure.
I get 12 from one and 4 from any other.
Nice. Now I can lock down my ignition coils. I may have to pull the tranny back out and put a thicker shim in it. We'll see. It's got to go to the tuner tomorrow, so I'm not going to do that today.
Right.
So yeah, now it's off to the tuner, and well, first it's off to the alignment rack, and then it's off to the tuner. So I drove it around the shop, found out that my clutch adjustment is nowhere near where it's supposed to be. We probably need a bigger clutch master cylinder so that it can actually actuate this clutch the way it needs to. I've already shimmed the slave cylinder forward, and if I shim it more, I'm going to be even that much farther past. I'm actually going to be starting to engage the clutch diaphragm. So in my mind, that's a no-no. I don't want to have my slave cylinder farther forward than where it's supposed to be, because you're going to be applying pressure to the pressure plate, which will start reducing pressure on the pressure plate. So that's our first problem. Our second problem is the new Bumpsteer Kit. It puts us at much more of an angle, which towed it in really bad, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to run out of tie rod end because I don't think I'm going to have enough thread engagement from my inner tie rod end to my outer tie rod end. Now they make tie rod end adjusters, and they look like this, and you can use these to extend the tie rod end out. The problem with that is you're going to use a jam nut here, and if your inner tie rod end is in here and your outer tie rod end is out here, then that's all the metal holding your wheel where it needs to be, and that seems like a really bad idea to me. So we're going to have to look into this to see if this is the right way to do what we want to do for this customer, because if you're doing $180 down the backstretch and that breaks, then your car dies and hopefully you survive the crash. So let me put a base alignment setting on this so we can figure out our bump steer to see if we're anywhere close to where we need to be or how far we need to adjust that. So we'll do that first. So I put a quick alignment on this just to get them close to straight. I jack the car up, the suspension droops, and it actually tows out quite a bit. So I need to change my setup on my tie rod ends to reduce my angle, and that should change my geometry, and we'll see how much better it is after I make some adjustments. So I got to pull the wheels off. I got to pull another piece of the Bumpsteer kit out and to raise my tie rod ends, see where that gets us, see where our angles go from there, and then we can rack it up again and do the process again. This is very tedious. It's not fun to do. This kit actually has a bridge to help support the rod end, which I like about the kit, but I think the kit's a little excessive for what we're doing. But it does have better adjustability than the old kit that I had, or that was already on this thing. So we'll try to make this one work. Hate to spend 5 or 6 hours working on this only to go back to the old kit. So After a couple hours messing around on the alignment rack, this car is ready to go to the dyno. It's actually going to go there in a trailer because it needs a proper tune to be driven. So, alignment, bump steer kit, intake, throttle body. Will we hit 400 horsepower? Naturally aspirated, that's the hope. We'll see what happens. Thanks for watching our show. Click like, subscribe, leave us a comment below if you have any questions. You guys have a great day. It's off to the dyno we go.
That's aggressive.
It's aggressive. Ha 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 ha!